I want to just take a minute to tell you about our amazing Bohemian National Hall. Sokol Greater Cleveland is a Czech gymnastic, cultural, and educational organization. And in 1975, several independent Sokol units decided to join together and form Sokol Greater Cleveland. We looked all over for a home. We had a unit on the west side, a unit on the far east side, a unit in the Mount Pleasant area, and we just decided that we were kind of looking at Valley View, and then someone brought our attention to Bohemian National Hall. And they told us that they would love to see this hall remain. At the time, it was in very, very poor condition. In fact, I'll share a little secret with you. If you look up in the corner of the red border up above, you'll see how dirty it got from 1987 until 1975. And that was because of the soot from all the iron mills and steel mills that were in the neighborhood. When we purchased this building in 1975, our parents, our fathers, our husbands, and a lot of sons got together and formed what was called the Men's Work Party. And these gentlemen were all tradesmen. There were plumbers, there were carpenters, there were electricians, there were painters, there were cabinet makers. They all had their special talents. And thankfully, they put them all to good use in the Men's Work Party. Now, the women came down and prepared meals. Now, remember, this is the 70s. It was before the Me Too movement. So the women came down, prepared delicious meals. The men came down and used their talents to refurbish this building. I'm told that they invested over 100,000 volunteer man-hours to make this building what it is today. So the beautiful border and everything that you see now, it all started like this dirty little corner. And we keep that there to remind ourselves of what we first purchased and to remind ourselves of what we have today, thanks to our parents and our grandparents. And it makes this building all the more special because it's home to us. It really is a second home to everybody. Now, the story goes, having talked to many of the wives at the time, that they were trying to get their toilets fixed at home. Their wash machines were leaking. They didn't have dishwashers. Usually us kids were the dishwashers. But, they had all these problems at home, but the men would always say, oh, I have to go down to Sokol and fix this and fix that, and oh, we're going to work on this today, and none of them could get their toilets fixed at home. So, the women, we appreciate you letting go of your toilet work so that the men could come down here and fix our toilets at the hall. So we do thank them. We'll never forget them for giving us the treasure that we stand in here today. We have two speakers today, Steve Shebesta and John Sable. As I said, Steve is very knowledgeable in the area of Legionnaires. And I don't know if I'm stealing part of your speech, but I told you this is the room where Masaryk and Beneš and a lot of leaders of the American Czechs and the American Slovaks met back in 1915. And when you first came in the lobby, you might have noticed this giant statue of Thomas Masaryk, who is standing in a glassed-in area. And in front of that, if you look up on the steel beam, it says Cleveland Agreement 1915. And there are two beautiful plaques that Brother Paul Burrick made. Paul, could you stand up, please? Come on, don't hide. There you go. Paul made the Cleveland Agreement 1915 lettering, and we will be hanging. Did you bring them upstairs, or are they? They're hanging downstairs in the lobby. One of them is the 5 points of the Cleveland Agreement, and the other one is an explanation of exactly what the Cleveland Agreement was. So that lobby, heretofore will be known as the Cleveland Agreement lobby. And I was told by some friends of mine that they happened to be in Pittsburgh one day, and they noticed a post on the street. Is that right, Jane? Yes. Yes, a post on the street that said this is the exact site where the Pittsburgh Agreement was signed. Now, that agreement happened in 1918, and that was the agreement that finalized the birth of Czechoslovakia. But we have a lot to brag about here in Cleveland because this is where it all started.